The Debates Commentary. Bimala, Churn Law, Ph.D. M. A. B. L. September 23, 1939. Continued p. 48-58. 3. Now follows a controversy on the holy life. Brahmacharya. 40. The holy life is of twofold import. Way culture and renunciation of the world. No deva practices the latter, but the former is not inhibited, except to those of the unconscious plane. But some, for instance the summit ayas, do not believe in any way culture among the higher devas as the paranimitavasavati devas, and those beyond them. Referring to them the Sakavadin asks, is there no holy life among devas? In three respects, monks, do the people of Jambudipa, i.e. India, excel both those of North Kuru and the world of the 30 devas. What are these three? In courage, in mindfulness, and in the holy life. Because of this sutta the opponent holds the view, that there cannot be two sorts of holy life, and therefore he assents. Again, with respect to things which cause an obstacle even were there two sorts of holy life, the Sakavadin asks, are all devas stupid? Etc. Here communicating by signs made by the hands means like dumb speakers by signs made by hands. In the next question, is there holy life among devas? The Sakavadin assents because of way culture. Without examining the sense of the assent the opponent asks with respect to renunciation of the world. With regard to the question, where there is no renunciation from the world, etc. The other denies because of the attainment of the way by laymen, and by some devas. When he is asked again, he agrees with reference to the inhabitants of the border countries and the devas of the unconscious sphere. Is he who renounces the world? And so forth in these questions, too, this is the sense. Again, in the question, is it practiced among devas? The Sakavadin agrees because of way culture. When he is asked, among all devas? He denies with reference to devas of the unconscious sphere. In both questions, among men? It should be understood that the assent is with reference to those in Jambudipa, and the denial is with reference to the inhabitants of the border countries. There are spheres where it exists means there are deva-worlds or countries where it exists. Thus by way of a division of beings and countries the Sakavadin makes reply. In this way, all alternative questions should be understood. In applying the suttas, by the expression where does the fruit of his works arise? The Sakavadin asks, where, for the never-returner, does the fruit of arahantship arise? There and only there means in the worlds called pure abodes. Well then 41 is a particle used in the instrumental sense. What is meant is this. Inasmuch as the never-returner realizes fruit in the pure abodes, by the way developed in this world, and does not there develop another way, therefore among devas there is no holy life. Now if one realizes fruit at one place by the way developed elsewhere, then the stream winner, etc. may, similarly, realize it. In order to express this sense the Sakavadin again asks by comparison, does the never-returner, and so forth. Here the opponent assents with respect to the realization of fruit by the never-returner, but as regards the realization of fruit by others he denies. A never-returner, who consummates after leaving this life, develops the way here. After developing the way of a never-returner here, he takes spontaneous rebirth. From the expression completing existence there he, the opponent, believes, that without having way culture again, he realizes the fruit of arahantship by his rebirth alone. The stream winner and the once returner, however, develop the way there and are reborn there. They do not return to this world. Thus, when he is asked about the realization of the never-returner's fruit, he assents. Of others he denies. In the question which has the expression a never returning person by the way developed there, he rejects, because he believes that the never returner has no way culture there. The Sakavadin asks, does he develop the way without putting away the corruptions the other denies with regard to the way in Brahma world existence? By the way in the Brahma world he consummates after leaving this life. In the question which has the expression a never returner who has done that which was to be done, too, is spontaneously reborn, he agrees, because the expression completing existence there implies, that he is reborn and has done that which was to be done, and so forth. In the question which has the expression the Arahant, he rejects with respect to the Arahant who has final nirvana. When he is asked again, he assents with respect to final nirvana there. In the question, is the Arahant reborn? And point 130 the sense should be understood as does he get final nirvana there, after getting the same here? When he is asked, does the Arahant get final nirvana there, without penetration of the unchanging he rejects, because he believes that the Arahant is steady and wins by the way developed here. The simile, namely, just as a deer is drawn first 42 by the opponent, and secondly by the Sakavadin. Controversy on holy life is ended. 4. Now follows a controversy on purification piecemeal. Here, in order to break down the opinion now held, for instance, by the Sarmitiyas and others, that when stream winners and those in the other ways, through the higher comprehension gained in jhana or musing, attain insight into the nature of ill and so on, the putting away of corruptions or vices goes on piecemeal, that is, by one portion at a time. The Sakavadin inquires, does the converted man give up the corruptions piecemeal? The opponent agrees. The next question is of the Sakavadin. The opponent denies, because there is no possibility of being in one part as stream winner, and the like. In this way, the meaning should be understood on all occasions. The controversy on purification piecemeal is ended. 5. Now follows a controversy on renouncing evil. Does the average man renounce sensuous passions and ill will? This question is asked by the Sakavadin to break down the opinion held, for instance, at present by the same Tiyas, that an average man who achieves jhana, understands the truths, and becomes a never returner, renounced sensuous passions and ill will while he was as yet only an average man of the world. The opponent, however, who does not see any bias in them who renounce by jhana, assents. Inasmuch as those who renounce by jhana, renounce forever by the way of the never returner, therefore the Sakavadin again asks, forever, and so forth. The other rejects, because there is no such renouncing. With reference to renouncing forever, the Sakavadin asks, does he renounce? Thereafter a comparison is made between the average man and he who walks along the path of the never returner. This is clear. After this, when he is asked, does he become established in the fruition of the never returner? He assents with reference to the stage of the never returner in jhana. When he is asked, does he become established in arahantship? 43 he denies, because there is no renouncing of fetters belonging to the upper part by the path of insight. Being asked, did he develop anything new in the three ways? He denies, because of the absence of such culture. When he is asked again, he assents with reference to the undertaking of work of the three ways. This is also the sense in the questions about the fruit of samanaship. Being asked, by which way? He says, by the way of the never returner, with reference to the stage of the never returner in jhana. Again, when he is asked about renouncing the fetters, he denies, because there is no renouncing all of those corruptions by the way of the never returner. Being asked for a second time, he assents with reference to the going in the first way being towards the way of the never returner in jhana. The rest here is clear in meaning. The controversy on renouncing evil is ended. 6. Now follows a controversy on everything exists. Does everything exist? This question was asked by the Sakavadin in order to break down an opinion, held, for instance, at present by the Sabbathvadins. Lit. Everything exists, believers. That, judging by the Sutta passage. Whatever is material form, past, present, future, etc. All phenomena, past, present, future, persist in that state, and that therefore all go on existing. Taking his stand on the opinion, as explained, the other assents. In the question, everywhere, it is asked, does all exist in the whole body? In the question, always, it is asked, does all exist at all times? In the question, in all respects, it is asked, does all exist in every way? In the question, in all, it is asked, does all exist in all things? Not connected means not in a combined state. A combination takes place of the different states, not of one state. Thus, in this question, by using material form and feeling, or feeling and material form, as identical, not different, it is asked, does everything exist? The non-existent also exists. The non-existent is accomplished such as a sixth personal aggregate, or horns in a hair, etc. Does it exist in you? Is asked. 44 In the question, does everything exist? It is asked, does the right view which looks upon your wrong view as wrong exist? Your view, namely, everything exists, is wrong, because there is no truth in it. But you would not admit, that this view of ours which has truth in it, is right. The other rejects, because there is no such existence, as is said in all these methods. Now in all these methods, the entire division of the account, beginning with acknowledge your refutation, etc., should be understood in detail. In this connection, this much is the controversy. Now with reference to time there follows. Does the past exist? Therein does the past exist? And so forth is concerned with bare time ideas. In the expression does past material form exist? And so forth, the time reference is now connected with the aggregates. If the two terms presenting material aggregate be taken as identical means, leaving aside past and future, if the two terms presenting material aggregate being taken as identical, no distinction is made between them. To the question, does material aggregate abandon its materiality? The opponent denies, because material form on ceasing includes the material aggregate. To the negative question, did it not abandon its materiality? He assents, because it is included in the material aggregate. In the expression if no distinction is made between the two terms, white and cloth, he does not say whether all cloths are white, or only this is white. He simply says, if no distinction is made between the two terms, white and cloth. Hence the Sakavadin admits their identity in meaning. In the question, does it abandon its whiteness? The Sakavadin admits with reference to the disappearance of color. In the expression does it abandon its clothness? He denies that the concept is got here. This, too, is the method in the reverse order. Being asked, does not the past abandon its pastness? He assents, because he thinks that, if the past abandons its pastness, it would become either future or present. But being asked, does not the future abandon its futurity? He rejects, because he thinks that, if the future does not abandon its futurity, it would not attain its present pastness. With regard to the question about present, too, he rejects, because he thinks, that it would be wrong not to have its pastness. In this way, the meaning should be understood in the affirmative questions also. Having said thus about bare method 45. The questions. Is that which is past material form? And so forth, have been said again, in order to show by way of the aggregates. One will be able to understand all these according to the text. Now follows the bare handling of terms beginning with does the past exist? Therein suppose the past does not exist means, if the past does not exist. It is wrong to say that there exists a past means it is wrong to say that a past exists. Similarly, when he is asked, is a future thing present? He denies through time distinction, because the future was then not yet present. Being asked again, he assents, because a future thing, when it has happened, becomes present. The expression does anything which having been, become once more? Means when you say, that that which having been future becomes present. It follows that that which is future becomes present and, according to his view, that which having been either future or present, becomes present. This also, when it has become present. This the opponent rejects, saying, it is not, because, having become present, it does not become future and then again become present. Being asked again, he assents, because he thinks he can speak of a future thing when realized as having been, is. Then the Sakavadin asks him, if you can speak of a future thing when it has become as present, and again if you can speak of that which has become as present and when not become as not present, a chimero like the horn of a hare is not that, when it has become, again present? In this way he asks, is a thing when it has become present? The other says, just as a thing is not on account of its absence, similarly a future thing, when it has not become, does not become present. Is not a thing, when it has not become, not present? Be it so. Again, being asked, is not a thing, when it has not become, not present? He rejects, because he thinks of the absence of its existence. 46 to the question. Is an anticipated thing the same as the present and the past? He rejects time distinction, because the present was then not yet past. Being asked again, he thinks that it was present before it became past, and assents, because it is past. The expression does the present having been, become past, and the past having been, become present? Means when you say, that that which having been present becomes past. It follows that that which is present becomes past, and according to this view the present when it has become past. Is this also, when it has become, present? The other rejects, saying, it is not, because having become past it does not become present, and then again past. Being asked again he assents because he thinks he can speak of the present, when become, as past. Then the Sakavadin asks him, if you can speak of the present, when become, as past, and again if you can speak of that which has become as past, and when not become as not past. A chimero like the horn of a hare is not that again, when it has become, past. And in this way he asks, does not a thing, when not become, become past? The other says, just as a thing does not exist on account of its non-existence, similarly the present, when it has not become, does not become past. Does not the present, when it has not become past? It may be so. Again being asked, does not a thing, when it has become past? He denies because he thinks whence can it exist? Considering the two questions as identical, a connection should be established thus also with the help of both in the third question that follows. There is another argument. If a future thing becomes present, if a future thing can be spoken of as present, then it follows that the present was spoken of as in the future. This being so, the future also having been, becomes present. Therefore we ask, does each of these having been the one, become the other? The other rejects, as it has been rejected, in the question. Does that which is future, become present? Being asked again, he assents, as it has been assented, in the next question. Then the Sakavadin, in order to ask him by repeating the question. Does that which is future, become present? Which he, the opponent, has rejected before, and to make him assent that each of these having been the one, becomes the other, asks. Does not that being the one, become the other? The meaning is, have you not said that that which is future becomes present? By rejecting the first question, 47 both that the future becomes present and that the present has become have been ejected. Therefore there exists no future and the present has not become. In the second question, 2, you admit that that which is future becomes present. This being so, the future, 2, when not become, does not exist. The present, 2, when not become, does not exist. Therefore we ask. Does not each of these, not having been the one, become the other? The opponent, who is as if covered with darkness from all sides, does not see that these, when not become, do not come to exist, and rejects, saying, no, it is not. Secondly, 2, if that which is present becomes the past, then it follows that the present is said to be in the past, and the past is said to be in the present. This being so, the present having been exists, and the past having been also exists. Therefore we ask you, does each of these, having been the one, become the other? The other first rejects, as it has been rejected in the question. Does the future become the present, and the present, the past? And then again when he is asked, he assents, as it has been assented in the next question. Then the Sakavadin, in order to ask him by repeating the question. Does the future become the present, and that present again the past? Which was already rejected, and in order to make him, the opponent, assent that each of these, being the one, becomes the other, asks. Does not that not being the one, become the other? Its meaning is, have you not said that that which is present becomes the past? By rejecting the first question, both that the present exists and that the future has become, have been rejected. Therefore the present does not exist, and the past has not become. In the second question, 2, you admit that that which is present becomes past. This being so, the present, 2, when not become, does not exist. The past, 2, when not become, does not exist. We, therefore, ask you. Does not each of these, not having been the one, become the other? The opponent, who is as if covered with darkness from all sides, does not see that these, when not become, do not happen, and rejects, saying, no, it is not. Thirdly, 2, if a future thing becomes the present, and that present becomes the past, then it follows from these that the future and the present are said to be in the present and the past respectively, and similarly that the present and the past are said be in the future 48 and the present respectively. This being so, a future thing also, when become, exists. We, therefore, ask you, does each of these having been the one, become the other? The other first rejects, as it has been rejected in the question. Does the future become the present, and that present the past? And then again when he is asked he assents, as it has been assented in the second question. Then the Sakavadin, in order to ask him, the opponent, by repeating the question. Does the future become the present, and that present the past? Which was already rejected, and in order to make him, the opponent, assent, that each of these having been the one, becomes the other, asks. Does not that not being the one, become the other? Its meaning is, have you not said that that which is future becomes the present, and that that present the past? By rejecting the first question, both that the future and the present exist, and that the present and the past have been rejected. Therefore that which is future does not become the present, and the present and the past have not become. In the second question, too, you admit that that which is future becomes the present, and that present, the past. This being so, the future, too, when not become, does not exist. The present and the past, too, when not become, do not exist. Therefore, we ask you, does not each of these, not having been the one, become the other? The opponent who is as if covered with darkness from all sides, does not see that these, when not become, do not happen, and rejects, saying, no, it is not so. Purging of terms is ended.